My name is Rebecca Ann Morrison. I'm 43 years old. And I need to tell you about the day I realized my entire childhood was a lie wrapped in vinyl siding. I'm standing in front of Lot 47, Pinewood Mobile Home Park, Valdosta, Georgia. I haven't been here in 23 years. The skirting around the base of this trailer, that flimsy plastic paneling that hides the wheels, and the gap between the ground and the floor is the same faded beige it was in 1989. Some panels are missing now, exposing the darkness underneath. And I'm thinking about how I used to believe that skirting was actual architecture. If this story sounds familiar, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you grew up thinking certain things were normal that absolutely were not, subscribe, because you're going to need the rest of these stories. It was March of 1985. I was 7 years old, and I was explaining to my second grade class what my daddy did for a living. My daddy's an architect, I said, standing in front of Mrs. Henderson's classroom, proud as anything. He builds houses. I remember the way Tommy Fletcher snorted. Tommy lived in one of those brick houses on Magnolia Street, the ones with the front porches and the yards that didn't flood when it rained. Trailers ain't houses, Tommy said. Mrs. Henderson told him to hush, but the damage was done. I went home that day and asked Mama what the difference was. "No difference, baby," she said, not looking up from the sewing machine. She was hemming someone's curtains for $5. A home is where people love each other. That's all. I believed her. We lived in Lot 47 of Pinewood Mobile Home Park from the time I was 4 until I was 17. It was a 1978 Fleetwood single-wide. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The bathroom was so small you had to step out into the hallway to change your mind. But I thought it was normal. I thought everyone's floor bounced when you walked across it. I thought everyone's walls were so thin you could hear your neighbor cough 3 trailers down. I thought everyone's windows leaked cold air in the winter so bad you had to tape plastic sheeting over them. Mama worked at the Piggly Wiggly. Check out lane 3. Daddy worked construction when he could get it. Most days he'd come home with his boots covered in red Georgia clay, smelling like sweat and cigarettes, and he'd sit in his recliner that had duct tape holding the armrests together. "How was school, Becca girl?" he'd ask. "Good, Daddy." And that was that. We didn't talk much in our house, not because we didn't love each other. We did. We just didn't have the energy left over after surviving. But I didn't know we were surviving. I thought we were just living. Daddy's architecture work was installing skirting around mobile homes. He'd come home with panels of vinyl and aluminum in the back of his pickup truck. He'd spend Saturday mornings on his knees in the dirt, measuring and cutting and screwing panels into place around the base of someone's trailer. I'd watch him work, hand him tools when he asked, "Hold the level steady." "See, Becca," he'd say, wiping sweat from his forehead. "This here keeps the pipes from freezing in winter. Keeps the critters out too. Possums love to get up under there." I thought he was teaching me about construction, about craftsmanship. I thought my daddy was building something that mattered. And he was, just not in the way I thought. The first crack in my understanding came when I was 9. We had a career day at school. Parents were supposed to come in and talk about their jobs. Mama couldn't get off work. Daddy said he'd come. He showed up in his work clothes Carhartt pants with stains on the knees, a flannel shirt with the elbows worn through, steel-toed boots that had seen better days in 1979. Tommy Fletcher's dad was there in a suit, briefcase. Talked about being a regional manager for some insurance company. Sarah Kim's mom was a nurse, brought in her stethoscope. My daddy brought a piece of skirting panel and some screws. "I do mobile home repair and installation," he said to the class. His voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. "I make sure folks' homes are weatherproofed and secure." He didn't say architect. He didn't even say construction worker. He said mobile home repair. I felt something shift in my chest. Something like shame, but I didn't have a name for it yet. After school, I didn't ask him about it. But I stopped telling people what my daddy did for a living. Drop a comment if you've ever been embarrassed by what your parents did for work. I want to hear your stories. I started noticing things after that. I noticed that when it rained hard, water pooled under our trailer because the ground wasn't level. I noticed that the skirting Daddy installed wasn't decorative, it was necessary. Without it, you could see straight under the trailer to the dirt, and pipes and electrical wiring held up with zip ties. I noticed that other kids lived in houses that didn't move when the wind blew. I noticed that when you said, "I live in a trailer," people's faces changed. A little flicker of something. Pity, maybe. Or judgment. I noticed that the word trailer trash existed, and I started to understand what it meant. But Mama and Daddy never acted like anything was wrong. They never complained. They never apologized for where we lived. Mama would sit at the kitchen table with her checkbook, moving numbers around like a puzzle, and she'd say, "We'll make it work." And somehow, we always did. The summer I turned 12, Daddy got a job installing skirting for a brand new double-wide in Lot 12. The family moving in had money you could tell. They had a truck that wasn't held together with rust and prayer. They had furniture that matched. Addie spent 3 days working on that skirting. He measured twice, cut once, made sure every panel lined up perfectly, even painted the trim to match the trailer's exterior. When he finished, the woman who owned it came out to look. "It's fine," she said. "Not thank you, not great job. Just, it's fine." She handed him a check and went back inside. I was sitting in the truck waiting for him. He climbed in, started the engine, and didn't say a word the whole drive home. That night, I heard Mama and Daddy talking in their bedroom. The walls were thin, remember? She didn't even look at it, Linda. 3 days of work, and she didn't even look. I know, baby. Sometimes I wonder if it even matters. All this work, all this trying, it matters, Mama said. It matters to us. I pressed my ear against the wall and felt something break inside me. My daddy wasn't proud of his work anymore. Maybe he never had been. Maybe he'd just been pretending for me. High school was when I really started to understand. I had a boyfriend, sort of. His name was Eric. He played baseball. Lived in one of those neighborhoods with HOA rules and mailboxes that all matched. He never came to my house. I always went to his. One day he asked, "Where do you live, anyway?" "Pinewood," I said. "Where's that? The mobile home park off Highway 84? His face did that thing, that flicker. "Oh," he said. "Cool." It wasn't cool. We both knew it. We broke up 2 weeks later. He said it wasn't about where I lived, but it was. It always was. I left Valdosta 3 days after I graduated high school. Got a scholarship to Georgia Southern. Wasn't a big scholarship, but it was enough. I worked 2 jobs to cover the rest. I studied real architecture because I wanted to prove something. To who? I'm not sure. Maybe to Tommy Fletcher, maybe to myself. I didn't come home much. Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas if I had to. Mama would ask how school was going. Good, I'd say, and that was that. We still didn't talk much. Daddy died in 2003. Heart attack. He was 54 years old. He died installing skirting around a trailer in Lot 32. Mama called me at work. I was in Atlanta by then, working for a firm that designed luxury condos for people who made more in a month than Daddy made in a year. "He's gone, Becca," she said. Her voice was flat, empty. I drove to Valdosta that night, walked into that trailer for the first time in 2 years. It looked smaller, older. The skirting was coming loose on the west side. Mama was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold. "He was proud of you," she said. Always talked about his daughter, the architect. I felt my throat tighten. "Mama, I design condos for rich people." "That's not he was proud," she said again. Firmer this time. Let him have that. I tried to get Mama to move after Daddy died. Told her I could help her find an apartment in Atlanta. Something small but stable. Something that wasn't one bad storm away from collapsing. "This is my home, Becca," she said. "Mama, it's falling apart. So am I, might as well fall apart together." I didn't push it. Maybe I should have. Standing here now, 23 years after I left, I see it all differently. The skirting around this trailer, this stupid, flimsy, weather-beaten skirting it, wasn't architecture. It wasn't art, but it was survival. It was my daddy on his knees in the dirt, in the heat, in the cold, making sure someone's pipes didn't freeze. Making sure someone's home stayed standing. It was my mama sitting at that table, moving pennies around, making sure we had food and clothes and school supplies. It was them never once making me feel like we were less than anyone else, even when the world told us we were. If you're still watching, leave a comment with the words Lot 47. Let me know you were here. But here's the part I don't say out loud very often. I'm still angry. Not at them. Not exactly. I'm angry that they had to work so hard just to keep us in a trailer that leaked when it rained. I'm angry that Daddy died thinking he hadn't built anything that mattered. I'm angry that Mama still lives here, in this same trailer, because she can't afford anything better even with my help. I'm angry that I spent my whole childhood thinking we were fine when we were drowning. And I'm angry that I didn't see it. That I was so busy believing Mama when she said a home is where people love each other that I didn't realize love doesn't pay the electric bill. Mama still lives in Lot 47. She's 71 now. I send her money every month. She doesn't ask for it, but I send it anyway. We talk on the phone every Sunday. She asks about my job. I tell her it's good. She tells me about her garden, about the neighbor's new dog. We don't talk about Daddy. We don't talk about the trailer. We don't talk about the fact that I only visit once a year, if that. Last Christmas, I flew down. Walked into that trailer, the skirting on the west side was still loose. Mama, you need to get that fixed, I said. I know, she said. I'll call someone. She won't, and I won't fix it myself because I don't know how. I design buildings with glass and steel and marble. I don't know how to install vinyl skirting around a 1978 Fleetwood. My daddy's daughter, the architect, doesn't know how to do the one thing he did every day of his life. I think about that a lot. I think about how I spent years being ashamed of where I came from, how I changed my accent, how I didn't tell my coworkers I grew up in a trailer park, how I built a whole life that looked nothing like the one I had. And I think about how none of that erased the truth. I'm still that little girl in Lot 47, handing her daddy the level, believing he was building something important. Because he was. He was building a life for me, a life where I could leave. A life where I could be something other than a checkout girl at the Piggly Wiggly or someone's wife in a single wide. He built that, with skirting and sweat and silence. If you grew up poor, you know what I'm talking about. You know that shame that sits in your chest like a stone. You know that feeling of being invisible, of being less than, of being the punchline to someone else's joke. You know what it's like to love your parents and resent them at the same time. To be grateful and angry in the same breath. You know what it's like to leave and never fully come back. I don't have a neat ending for this story. Mama and I are fine. We love each other. But there's a distance between us that no amount of Sunday phone calls can close. I'm successful by every measure that matters to the world. And I'm still standing in front of Lot 47, wondering if I should have stayed. I didn't, though. I left. And I can't unlive that choice. So if you see a kid wearing clothes that don't quite fit, or living somewhere that doesn't look like the pictures in magazines, be kind. You don't know what their daddy's building with his hands. You don't know what their mama's sacrificing at that kitchen table. You don't know that in 20 years, that kid might be standing in a parking lot, staring at a piece of vinyl skirting, trying to figure out how something so small held up something so big. Leave a like if this hit you. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And comment with your own story. Read every single one. Thanks for listening. And if your parents are still around, living in a place that's falling apart, maybe send them some money this month. Or call them or just say thank you. They already know you're ashamed. They've always known, but they loved you anyway.